Hello, I'm Barbara Cabela, an epidemiologist in the Prevention Services Division, and this training is on our division procedure related to data release and data linkage. I will cover in this training some introductory remarks and background, the department resources that are available to us, highlight the general responsibilities in the procedure, and then if you're able to attend a future in-person training, there will be small groups where you'll get practice applying this procedure to different scenarios. And then in this presentation, obviously, there will not be questions and answers, but I welcome any questions and suggestions. You can email me at barbara.cabela@state.co.us. So here are the resources available to us, because again, this procedure, the goal of this procedure is to help us be compliant with the privacy and security policies of the department. Therefore, our department has these resources, the policies themselves, and the two boards that oversee these policies. They are the IRB, or Institutional Review Board, for protecting human subjects in research, and then the Privacy Board. And Joni Koenig is our privacy officer and the IRB administrator, so she's happy to consult on any data request that might involve personal identifiers or protected health information. So again, the goal of the procedure is to help us be compliant with departmental policies that address IRB policies, state statute and rule, as well as federal protections under what's known as HIPAA, or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. The procedure itself covers these areas: general responsibilities that all of us that directly access identified data or protected health data. So what we all need to know in order to apply this procedure. It also has a section on requests specific for de-identified or aggregate data, requests for access to and use of protected data, requests for data linkage, which I'll define later, as well as a section on staff engagement in human subjects research. And then finally, this is rare, but it does happen. So the procedure covers when data can be reviewed in-house by an external party. And then be sure to look at the appendix, which lists the personal identifiers as they appear in the HIPAA law. Data linkage is assembling information from one or more data sets. And these data sets can be internal or external to the department. And this definition is a direct quote from our department's IRB policy 2.1 on page 2. Not only do we have a written procedure, we have provided additional tools. So we created a data inventory of all the data systems, a data request log, and the procedure requires us to list in there any data request for research purposes or from a researcher, as well as any data linkage requests. And then if it's helpful for you as a person that responds to data requests to get enough information to apply this procedure, we've also provided a data request form. This is just an example, and you can adapt it for your program and data system. So how to use this procedure. You want to know your general responsibilities. So read that section. Everyone should read that section. Again, you'll want to read and look at the linked policies, the resources and tools. Then when you get a request, you need to ask the requester about the request so that you have enough details that you can apply the procedure. And then finally, you apply the procedure. You select the appropriate section of the procedure and you follow the steps. And of course, if needed, you can ask your supervisor for help, or Joni has offered to take requests directly or questions directly as well. So the kinds of information you need to know about the request in order to apply the procedure are answers to these questions. Who is asking for the data? What type of data do they want? How will the data be used? Are you involved in the project? So you're not just providing data results to the project, but you're actually involved in the work. And do you have the time or other resources to respond? So again, there's the written procedure itself, these three tools that are hot linked in the procedure, and be sure to look at those. And now I'm going to go over a few definitions in the procedure itself and cover the general responsibilities. So again, the purpose of this is to be compliant with privacy and security policies of the department. There's a lot of information there. There's also some key definitions that we list at the beginning. And a few of these I'll highlight. One is the data owner. So that's the organization that generates and owns the data. So this organization can be the department, another state agency, or other organizations. And this organization, the data owner organization, determines how the information in their data set can be accessed and used. There's also a data steward. So that's the department's employee that is designated to safeguard the appropriate access and use of the data. So that's the employee making decisions about access and use. So again, the data steward may reside in our division or in another division. And then there can be data use agreements that are written rules that govern the use of the data. And then something I learned in helping write this procedure is that our department policies defines an external requester as someone who requests data and is external to the program where the data steward is located. So that may mean that the person sitting next to me, but in a different program, is an external requester. So now I'm going to show you the general staff responsibilities and show you how it links out to other information. So first of all, there's information you need to understand in order to apply this. So this list is key for everyone who, again, has direct access to data that includes personal identifiers and/or protected health information. So you need to know the key questions to ask the external data requester to ensure that you have enough information to use this procedure. And I showed those kinds of questions previously. You need to review your program's statutory and regulatory authority. This can include the National Historical Framework under which the program operates. This is very important. And again, this procedure cannot list all of those statutes and rules for you. Please review the PSD data inventory so you can see the kind of information that's available, either about your own data set that you access or about another data set. This is really important if the request is about data linkage. Step 4, apply department policies governing data and privacy. And there's a link there to the site with all of those policies. And since we also need to apply policies on security, there's a link to the Office of Information Technology intranet site. Step 5 is to review the IRB policies. And again, there's a link there. And be sure to provide the IRB with information on your potential participation in research, if applicable. Step 6 is for any requests related to external human subject research or data linkage. So you need, in that case, to complete the data request log. And that will document the information needed and ensure that you are applying the appropriate section. Step 7, notify all the data stewards. This is really important, again, if it's to link data sets, because it could be that the statutes and data use agreement governing your data allows you to link to other data sets. But it could be that the other data set cannot be used in that way. So it's really important that you contact the data steward of the other data set and find out about the allowable uses of that data and whether it could be linked to your data set. And then finally, it's important to know that the request could actually be an open records request. And if that is the type of request, you need to notify your branch chief, because this Open Records Act and those requests concern existing public records. CORA requests, as they're called, are governed by state statutes. Response to a CORA request has strict time frames and is mandatory. So it's really important as soon as possible to notify your branch chief. This document or procedure does not go into detail, but there is a link to the departmental policy on the next page. So that's the part of this data release and data linkage policy that I wanted to cover. If you know that information and follow those steps, that will help you apply the other sections of the report. Or I should say, it's not a report, of course, it's a procedure. What I wanted to show you is what will happen next as we go forward. So we have put the procedure and the associated documents or tools on our PSD intranet. There is a division onboarding checklist that includes a link to that. And again, that's important for when we hire a new position that will be accessing data that includes personal identifiers and protected health data. It's important that supervisors ensure staff is aware of these policies and procedures. Staff are expected to follow these policies and procedures. And again, you can contact me, Barbara Gabella, or my boss, Lindsay Myers, who helped write this procedure. With any questions, you can provide any suggestions. And if you think it's time for an in-person training, let us know. Thank you.